And then I said, wrecked him? He's a skeleton. Oh, I gotta run. I'll see you later. Hello! As promised at the end of episode 1, I'm here at the lighthouse to welcome you back to Haldor's Merchant Bay Village. If you haven't seen the first episode and would like to get caught up before watching this one, pause this video now and follow the link in the description below. I'll wait. After finishing the lighthouse, I began working on a walkway that would allow easy access from the land. As I had planned to build a farm here, the walkway would also double as a retaining wall to keep out the seawater. If you've watched my streams, you may remember that there was a stone tower ruin here. I had thought to rebuild it into some sort of farm building, but it got pummeled by the locks too many times. If I was going to make a farm here, this rock had to go. I do prefer to work with the terrain whenever possible, but a big lumpy rock does not make for a convincing crop field. With the land flattened and cultivated, I could plant my crops. My original plan was to grow flax and barley here. But half the field is in the Black Forest biome, and the other half is in the Plains biome. Since flax and barley will grow in the plains, but not in the forest, I settled on turnips and onions on the forest side and a mix of barley and flax on the plains side. I discovered how to make these cultivated rows, which I like for onion, turnip, and carrot crops. I need to do a better job of it though, so I'll show you how it's done. First, make a straight row of cultivated soil. Next, switch to the hoe and choose the pathin option. Start along the inner side of the cultivated soil and carefully find the width you want. Then move parallel to the cultivated soil to create the first row. To start another row, switch to the cultivator, move over again, and carefully find the width you want for the pathined ground. Move parallel to the pathined ground. Repeat this process until you have all the cultivated rows you want. The hoe and cultivator's area of effect is much larger than these thin rows, so be careful. If you mess up in the middle, you will have to start over from one side or the other. When it came time to build the farmhouse, I decided to make it from core wood logs. There was a naturally raised area that seemed to be just about the right size and place for a house to sit. I leveled the ground a bit, put down a 3x5 foundation, then got started on the walls. I didn't like the way the logs snapped together at the ends, so I thought I'd try my hand at making them look like notched log cabin logs. Where there's a will, there's a way in building in this game. It's just not always easy. It was a bit of work to free-place the logs into the right position, but once I got the ground level logs placed, the others would snap right to them. There we go. With the farmhouse completed, the area still seemed to need more. There wasn't enough room for a barn, and I never really liked the look of the Valheim windmill. I guess I'm just too used to seeing them as tall structures. I decided to see if it was possible to raise one up off the ground. As you can see, it is possible. But I think I can do better than this. Building things, then tearing them down and rebuilding them seems to be an unfortunate theme of this series so far. I try not to stress about it. I suppose I need to see it before I know what may be wrong with it. Beside the fact that the windmill wasn't centered on its tower, it also suffered from the same malady that the original lighthouse suffered from. It was too boring. My intention has always been to give many of the builds a rustic look. In my mind, a farm in Haldor's Merchant Bay village shouldn't be too fancy. Its purpose is to grow food, not attract tourists. But I couldn't help myself with this new windmill. I was very happy with the shape of the tower, and on a whim, I decided to see what it would look like with some decorative dark wood. I fully expected to remove it, but once it was on all four sides, I wanted to keep it. If I needed to justify keeping the dark wood decoration, I had to look no further than the lore of the land that I had created long before I built anything here. From that lore, we learned that this village was settled by a group of skilled craftsmen and artisans. Perhaps a woodcarver or a shipbuilder decided to become a farmer. With the help of others, they eventually construct a windmill, a very valuable asset which would allow them to mill grains for food. Proud of the farm and his place in the community, he used his woodcarving skills to celebrate the windmill with decoration. Using this windmill requires a few steps, or should I say, a few ladders, but I don't really mind. I'd rather have to do this than have the comparatively underwhelming look of the standard windmill. In the last episode, I showed you this barn. It was built before I officially started the village series, as I really needed a proper storage room. I explained how half of it ended up as a temporary location for some portals, and that I would correct this in the future. I gutted the place and started over. Much better. I had considered making this barn part of the farm by putting another crop field between it and the farmhouse, but that would have required a lot of tree cutting and ground leveling. Preferring to work with the landscape whenever I can, I'll keep them as separate properties. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your time here at the farm. I plan on making a few small improvements behind the scenes, such as redoing this fence and finishing up the incomplete retaining wall. I'll show you that stuff when you come back, then we'll build something new. So meet me back here at the farm next time.